Hi again, and welcome back to the It's Not Rocket Science 5 Questions Over Coffee. The important thing here, I have got a cup of coffee in my hand, and I'm joined by Simon Hague, who has also got a cup of coffee, which is great to see. Welcome, Simon. Simon runs a coaching and facilitation business called Where's My Lunch? Their ideal clients are business owners and leaders who want to explore new possibilities that can further enhance their business opportunities. And he works in a wider frame of wealth, that's social, intellectual, community, and financial. Helps people to unlock their dreams and passions. And this short chat, we're going to dig into the type of innovator that you as a business owner are, and what type of support you may need to help you release those dreams. So welcome to the 5 Questions Over Coffee, Simon.
Thanks very much, Stuart. Absolute pleasure to be with you today.
I love some of the stuff you talk about. So let's sort of get into it a little bit. I'm interested really to sort of start off by understanding what it is that sort of your ideal clients find as a big challenge before you sort of get involved with them, essentially.
Yeah, thank you for that question. So one of the big things that I see in today's current pandemic is the ability for remote teams to operate effectively. You may be having a smaller business that has staff working at home in their kitchen table or in their dining room or in a shed at the bottom of the garden, but being able to stay close to those particular individuals is going to be really, really difficult for you. Some people are doing it well, some people are engaging well, some people aren't, but it's certainly causing a big issue at the moment. And that's materializing in stress, it's materializing in work absence, downturn in productivity, downturn in effectiveness. Probably one of the biggest ones I'm interested in is downturn in innovation, because you're no longer having that coffee chat. You're no longer having that chat over by the water cooler just to really explore, what is it that's actually happening today.
Yeah, it's a big problem, isn't it? I mean, it really is. I've noticed that you can schedule as many sort of, chats with people as you like, but because they're scripted, because they're scheduled, there's not the sort of necessarily sort of interaction that you get when people sort of just bump into each other and start talking about something completely random. And it is a challenge for those innovators who really want to drive innovation in their businesses.
Yeah, I don't think it's just about innovators' specific interest to myself, but I don't think it's just about that. There's the greasing of the company wheel that needs to happen. Say, for example, you're working in sales and you bump into somebody who's going to ship your product. You can have that conversation, just give them a heads up that something's coming through. Or if you're in operations and there's going to be a supply issue for somebody, then you can make the sales team aware of what's going on. But that could just be a walking down the corridor, 5 seconds chat. But that now is very difficult to actually happen because of the nature of using Zoom and Microsoft Teams and all the rest of these type of products, which have seen this exponential growth. Not surprising, really, bearing in mind how we're being forced to work.
No, absolutely. Well, it's one of the common mistakes people try and make when they're trying to solve those problems that you come across, Simon.
Yeah, I was thinking long and hard when I saw this question come through. I don't think it's so much mistakes that people are making. It's more about missed opportunities and the ability for organizations to take decisions quicker. So it's very easy to get to an outcome, but it may take a couple of months without putting some form of interrupt in place. And that interrupt can be a really, really simple fix, as we'll explore in a bit. And that interrupt could then deliver maybe a new product line or a different service offering, different productivity tool, whatever you want it to develop for your business.
That's interesting. You're right. It isn't so much just about mistakes, though. Those missed opportunities can be as big as sort of doing something not quite. Can lose time, can lose money.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we're talking about here is just a mindset, because what we're seeing is a reprogramming of our mind. You've heard the saying, it takes 21 days to break a habit. Well, it takes 21 days to form a habit as well. So if we think about where things started with what we're doing at the moment, it's nearly a year ago. 23rd of March was when we hit the first lockdown. And that's a hell of a long time for us to actually operate in this virtual space. So we've formed bad habit now.
Yeah, and it's a long time in a business life, isn't it? I mean, those businesses that have now been trying to cope with a new world for the last year, those that have been unable to move forward or innovate, to have those chance encounters in the corridor where you sort of move something forward, that's a year's worth of loss, and that's going to be a very difficult thing to recover.
Yeah, I believe it will be. Yeah.
You're right. So what's that one valuable free action that you think that the audience at the moment can implement to help them solve some of these problems?
So again, I was thinking about this, and there's so many different tools we can use right now. But I think one of the most important things that we need to do is we need to give ourselves time. We need to give ourselves time to actually stop, time to enjoy what is going on around us, not just the treadmill of getting through stuff. But this goes for when we're in business, not in a pandemic, as well as when we're in this pandemic situation at the moment. And what I was thinking of is a model of 3 engages. Okay, so it's engage, engage, engage. Just think about this. Just think about the engaging side. Engage to stop is the first engage. And what I'm talking about there is, when was the last time you as a business owner, or when was the last time you as a business leader or as a sole trader picked up that phone and actually had a proper damn conversation with somebody? Not about anything in particular, but had a conversation with somebody about something which wasn't related to work, and actually got to know them. Do you know your customers? Do you know your suppliers? Do you know your staff? And the majority of time at the moment, because what we're seeing within Zoom sessions and online sessions is it's very, very business focused. People aren't getting to know people anymore. So that's the first engage. The second engage is engage to listen. And what this means, it's putting stuff in the diary. So some of the senior leadership teams that I'm working with are now putting time in their diary to actually stop with their leadership team and just go for a walk. Just go for a walk down the road, go for a walk in the woods, grab a coffee, grab a flask. I know it's very limited on what we can do now because of the distances you can go and have that walk, but it's just get out in nature, stop, have that chat, schedule something in your diary. So engage to listen and listen to what's going on with your staff. And the final one is about engage to advance. So what we're doing here is we're starting to understand our people better. We're understanding the motivation of the individuals better. Now we can actually engage with our staff better. We understand what's going through their mind. We understand what's happening in their life. We understand the challenges which they're having. We understand the mental challenges, the mental health issues maybe that them or their family are experiencing. And we can engage on that level. We can talk to them about maybe some of the things which aren't about work, but are huge in their lives, which will make a massive motivation factor for them to deliver for your business. Because after all, people are the business. It's not the business that's the business. It's the people within it that's going to make the business and the revenue.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love those 3. And I've made a note of them. They will be in my diary in future, because I think that's brilliant. You know, the idea of just putting time in your diary to sort of make a phone call to somebody, just to say hello, just wanted to know how things were, and not anything to do with business, because we're so good at leaping into the business. Actually, we should leap into just talking to each other as human beings.
I totally agree. Somebody mentioned to me, if you're target orientated, do it this way. Put down a 10 by 10 grid in your book, in your workbook, in your day book. Okay. And your challenge is to put a tick in each of those boxes in that 10 by 10 grid. So at the end of that, you've won the challenge of talking to 100 people. And that is such a way that if you're target orientated, you can actually achieve that.
What a great idea. I love that. So, Simon, what sort of concept, books, program have been most impactful for you in your experience that you want to sort of highlight? And I know you've got lots of these, so let's sort of limit it to sort of 10.
Okay. Well, I'll chunk it down a bit more for you than that. Okay. We'll think about maybe 3 or 4, because it's such a horrible question to ask right now. So the first one is The Daily Stoic is a book, okay, by a guy called Ryan Holiday, okay? Yeah. And alongside that comes a journal, The Daily Stoic Journal. Not that I've got any shares in it at all, and I haven't. But the idea it being that Daily Stoic introduces you to maybe some comments or questions to think about, which can start you off well in the day. So, for example, today, it says, do my outbursts ever make it better? Now, it's such an innocuous question, but it's something which actually, we all experience. We have outbursts. Does it make it better? maybe not. The other one that is very big for me as well is about planning. And I found this probably about a year and a half ago. I found this book, The Full Focus Planner, which is a system of timekeeping by Michael Hyatt. So if you just Google Michael Hyatt and Full Focus Planner, you'll see where I'm coming from. But what that does, it looks at the top 3 things that you need to be achieving in a week. And it keeps you really, really focused because they're linked into maybe your quarterly or your annual objectives. Not that I like being that structured, because I don't. I like being agile. I like being, okay, we'll go where we go sort of thing. We'll maneuver where the weather takes us. But that structure does really help in achieving things. If I want to increase my turnover or increase my revenue, then one of the things I'll look at is I need to target time to actually work out where I'm going to get that from, and not just say, oh yeah, I need to do it. I don't just need to do it. I need to actually target time for it, and then it will happen. So that's the second thing. The third thing is in the US, I came across at the start of lockdown, I came across some American speakers who do some great podcasts, and there's some amazing material on podcasts. It's very much a personal flavor. There's a lady called Jenna Kircher who runs a podcast on marketing. So if you just Google Goal Digger, okay, that's GOAL, very, very clever play on words, very clever marketeer is Jenna. But she does maybe 2, maybe 3 podcasts a week. And that is just full of information, full of stuff about how to get Google to work for you. How are you feeling when you need to turn up to work and it's everything around you is going to pot? How do you deal with that sort of stuff in the real world? So that's really, really useful. But probably the biggest learn for me, I started my business 12 years ago. And very early on in that, I was introduced to Sinek, Simon Sinek.
Oh,
yeah. He describes himself as a professional optimist. I loved it. On the TED Talks, you've got his job title at the back saying professional optimist. But it's very true. He's always talking positively about the world. And right now, he's all over LinkedIn. He's everywhere. But start with the why is the thing that really, really hit home. Because you can talk about the what, the product, the how it's going to help people. But unless you get into the emotional space when you're trying to sell your product, you ain't going to get anywhere. And that ties in also with getting into why people turn up for work. So if we think about the engage stuff, what we're trying to do is we're trying to understand the why about the individual. We're trying to understand the behavioral response about that individual. So if we can get into that, we can understand that, we're going to really be able to motivate our base.
Brilliant. Simon, it's so interesting. You sort of mentioned 2 things there. One of which is I myself, I'm a daily Stoic reader. The first 5 minutes of my day, I try and get to the office here, fairly early in the morning. I'm normally at my desk by 7, having sort of got up and sort of, exercised my body. My next thing is to exercise my mind, and I read the Daily Stoic. I'm absolutely like you. I sit there. So often you sit there, and I know this month it's all about sort of, being that sort of engaged, sort of, thinking about what can you possibly affect by having these outbursts? What can you affect by worrying? And you sit there and you go, yeah, why do I spend half of my day worrying about something which I've got no control over? Let's just let go of those and worry about the things I can actually control. So it does refocus your mind on that. And the other one that you just mentioned there, which I think was absolutely fantastic. I really like the way that you're thinking about some of this stuff in terms of sort of the way in which you're sort of doing that planning. I'm like you. I'm a massive planner. I like being agile, but I remember very early in my career, one of my mentors saying to me, if you can put down what are the top 3 things I need to achieve today, and you get them all done by 11 o'clock, the rest of the day is yours. And I loved that thought. If you sort of focus and go, I must achieve this, I must achieve this, I must achieve this. And when you've done those, that's it. You can sort of respond. You can sort of sit there and go, I've always wanted to have time to do so-and-so. And you've got that freedom. Having said that, I try and sort of, set aside sort of a day every month to sit there and go, well, what is it the next month needs to do? So you have to put this time aside and get it in your diary. Otherwise, it will get overwritten. But if you can get into the mindset of saying, what are my top 3 things today? If I can get those done by 11 o'clock, I've got all the time in the rest of the day in order to start achieving things which I never expected to do. If you leave them until late in the day, great. I love it.
The post-it notes. It's wonderful. Superb.
If you leave those to late in the day, though, the whole day's gone before you start attacking the things which are truly important to you. So yeah, I'm with you. I think it's really important. Get those key things that you need to achieve absolutely forefront, and then you can and really make progress.
Yeah, it's that eat the frog principle, isn't it? Get that stuff done, and then the time is yours.
Absolutely. Yeah. So look, finally, what's that one question that that I should have asked you that I haven't done, that you think is going to give great value? And if I failed to ask difficult questions so far, that is the most difficult, I think.
Yeah. Again, thank you for letting me see these questions in advance. The question I put down here is, what do you see as the future for the coaching or facilitation industry in the future? And that's a massive, massive question, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
And one of the things, just to go straight into answering that, it'd be great to hear what your thoughts are as well. But I think we're in a reprogramming stage at the moment. If we think about how our brains work, they're quite elastic in that they can adapt to what's going on around us. But I think we're right now in a programming phase where what we're going to be doing over the next month or 2 months is going to have a really, really big influence on potentially what the future is of what we do as individual business owners for the future, because that neuroelasticity is starting to form a pattern. The pathways are starting to bond now. So that has an impact on how we show up. Are we going to be showing up like this? Okay, which is great. It's lovely. But are we going to be showing up face to face? Are we going to be able to sit in a room with a client anymore? And how are we going to feel about that? All those sort of things are going to start to go through our mind. And that's going to impact the effectiveness on what we're trying to deliver. I also think that if we look at the coaching space and the facilitation space, more and more people are coming into that trade. So I think it's more and more important for us to understand what our niche area is, what it is that we're really, really trying to push out there. And that goes for not just about coaching, but it goes about any business. I think we need to be absolutely aligned to what our purpose is, what the product is that we're selling. And we need to understand, okay, so what is the actual benefit? What is the pain point that I'm actually solving here? Because if we don't understand that, we're going to get eaten alive and our business ain't going to be there because other people will be able to sell that.
Yes, Simon, you once again, we're really talking on the same language. I mean, the key thing that I talk to clients about so often is when I ask them, sort of like, describe your business, they're talking about the features of the business. And I go, no, what's the benefit to the customer? What's the pain that they've got? If you can get yourself out of your head and get yourself into their head and go, I'm trying to solve this problem today. What's the easy thing for me to do to get that problem solved? And you then give them the solution. There's no selling involved. They turn around and go, when do we start? And so often we're there trying to say, oh, how do I convince them? Don't convince them. Get into their head, get behind what it is they've got as a problem, solve the problem, and then they'll be the ones saying to you, well, why can't I have it now? That's where so many people sort of fail to understand that it's all about we're to serve the client and not trying to sort of persuade them. And I think, you just hit it right. It's about what's the pain and how am I going to help that just go away?
Yeah, absolutely agree. And to do that, you need to just give yourself some time, don't you? It comes back to this engage thing again. There's a big wrap here. Because we need to take time out and we need to think, just like you do. You take a day, a month out to look at a whiteboard, to work with a whiteboard, to work with a flip chart, work with Post-it notes, just to say, okay, what does this mean? What's happening with my business here? And we need to do that. We need to think about that and really get focused in on what our outcomes need to be. And that's Brilliant. What I like working with people on. So yeah, that's where I am.
Simon, I love it. I think you brought a great deal of value to the audience. I hope they pick up on some of those tips. I hope they engage. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen, you've got Simon's LinkedIn address. Go to LinkedIn. Yes, go see what Simon's got to offer there. Connect with him. Speak with him about and go and see what he's got at Where's My Lunch. And for in the future, obviously the other great thing that we're sort of looking for, if you can. If you want to go and get a scientific marketing makeover from the complete approach, or to subscribe, see more of these if you go to tca.fyi/subscribe, you can get to see when we do these. Come on and see the great value that the interviewees, the people that we talk to, really add. Simon, thank you so much for what you've given this morning. I really hope that people get out there and engage, and come and find out what you've got to talk about at Where's My Lunch. And in the future, if you'd like to come back and see us, we'd love to have you back on.
That's fantastic, Stuart. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And the coffee ain't bad either.
Yeah, thankfully, I got a good one made for me this morning.
Oh, good for you.
Speak to you soon.
Take care.